Taylor and welcome back to Roam Away From Home. Today is all about NOS Alive, one of our favorite festivals in Portugal. I would say my highlight event of the year. This video will go into all about tips of exploring the festival, how to get there, how to deal with the overwhelming crowds if you feel that, and frequently asked questions that you have given us throughout the comment section. For just a little bit of background context, my husband and I have been to over 1,000 concerts around the world. We often travel for major music events, but we also attend festivals big and small, concerts that are local or worldwide. Mike and I have lived in Portugal for about 2 years now, and last year we spent the entire concert season attending as many events throughout the country as we could, including NOS Alive 2024. So this year, we want to share all the tips that we've learned so that you can have an exciting festival experience and feel super prepared, reducing any anxieties or concerns you may have. I'm going to start by explaining the festival grounds so that you can have some idea about how far apart things are and get some context for when you want to actually arrive. So there are 3 main stages at NOS Alive. The main stage, which is Palco NOS, the second main stage, I would say, is Heineken, and then there's the WTF clubbing area. That is located in between the 2 other stages. If you are new to Portuguese or don't speak Portuguese, palco means stage. So anytime you see that word, that indicates it's a stage. The 3 main stages are actually not that far apart. So if you've been to a festival like Coachella or Bonnaroo or Glastonbury, this is going to feel like a very small festival. You can easily walk between the stages, and even though later in the day it does get pretty dense and you might have to weave through crowds, it's not that far in terms of distance. There are also 3 smaller areas that have performers. There is the comedy stage, which is air conditioned and has people performing comedy throughout the festival. There is the smallest stage, which is Palco Correcto, and that has a lot of local artists. And actually a lot of the artists that performed at that stage we've seen at other festivals and events throughout Portugal. So don't miss out on that. And then there is the Fado Cafe. I highly recommend checking out these stages in addition to the main stages because I didn't even know about the Fado Cafe until the last day of the festival last year, and I definitely missed out. In addition to the music stages and the comedy stages, there are also a lot of sponsors and food and drink options. I'm going to talk more about that when I talk about exploring the festival grounds, but for now you have a little idea about how everything is situated. There is one entrance for people that are just concert goers, and so it's really easy to kind of navigate where to go and how to get into the festival. The entrance is closest to the main stage, which is the NOS Alive stage. So every time I say main stage, it's the same thing. I wanted to give you a little bit of that concert layout so we can talk about how to get there and when to arrive with some more context. The top 2 questions I got from everybody were how to get there and when to arrive. The easiest way to get there is by using the train. Whether that means you take a rideshare to a train stop and then the train in, or metro to a train stop, bus station to a train stop, however that looks for you, the train is the closest possible way to get to the festival entrance because it's located at the train stop. Little tip is that within that train stop underground, like right when you get off the train, there is a little stand that sells espresso and beers. So you can get a less expensive espresso shot right before walking to the festival, or get an Imperial or Caneca before heading into the festival entrance. The train schedule is actually extended until 4:30 in the morning. I'll put the schedule up here in the video, and so it's a great way to get to and from the festival. If you use the zapping method to pay for your public transportation, make sure you top off your card before the festival. There are public transit people that scan your card when getting on the train at the end of the night to ensure that you actually have enough on your card to do the travel. If you don't have enough, then you have to top off your card before getting on the train, and if you're doing that at the end of the night, there tends to be long lines. It's a lot easier to arrive at the festival via rideshare or any other method because people come at all different times of the day. When leaving the festival, most people leave right after the headliner, so it gets very congested. You can also take the bus. The buses did have quite a long line last year, so the train, again, is just the easiest. Even if you take the train to leave and go only 1 or 2 stops before catching a rideshare or catching another form of public transportation, it's truly the best way to get to and from the festival. If you live on the other side of the river, they also have extended boat services. So you can basically use public transportation in every form that is available throughout Portugal to get to the festival. If you're not a fan of public transportation and you're really set on doing a rideshare situation like Bolt or Uber, you can take your chances by walking inland away from the congested area when you're leaving and trying to catch a ride. Or you can actually stay after the headliners into the late night / early morning kind of music and wait until it's a little bit less congested to then try and get a ride share. If you're new to the Lisboa public transportation, then I do have a very detailed video that goes into experiencing a concert in Lisbon. It's a 2-part series. It goes into all those types of logistics. So I'm not going to go into a ton of detail here about that, but you can check out that other video for more tips. Now that you know how to get there, let's determine when to get there. Doors open at 3 p.m. And if you are only going for one day of the festival, because they do sell single day passes, I highly recommend getting there at 3 so you can make the most of your festival experience, exploring the festival grounds, seeing as many musicians as you can. If you don't have that flexibility or you're going all 3 days and you don't want to tire yourself out, I recommend arriving at least 1 hour before the first artist that you want to see on the lineup starts to play, if that artist is playing in the day. So it's an earlier kind of set, arrive at least an hour before. That should give you enough time to scan your ticket and get to the stage. If the first artist that you want to see is performing at night or, sunset or a little bit later than that, I recommend arriving 2 hours in advance of their set time. The crowds tend to get denser later in the day and lines for everything just get a little bit longer as the night goes on. If the only artist you want to see at this festival is a headliner, I recommend arriving at least 3 hours in advance of their set time. I say to arrive at least 3 hours in advance if all you want to see is the headliners, because what happens is once you arrive at the festival and you go to the main stage, let's say you want to see Olivia Rodrigo and you don't really care about anyone else at the festival, what happens is people bounce between the different stages, right? So if you arrive 3 hours in advance, ideally you are arriving during when the performers before her are playing. So like Noah Khan, for example. So let's say you arrive and just before Noah Khan, you get a decent spot for that at the main stage. Once Noah stops playing, fans that came to see him for that time, for that set, they will then leave maybe to go get food or drinks or use the toilet or to see another artist at the Heineken stage or WTF clubbing, whatever it is. So the crowd disperses a little and then you can get a little bit closer for Olivia. So if you're there at least 3 hours in advance, that gives you maybe 2 sets before Olivia to have the crowd come, disperse, and each time you can get a little bit closer to the stage. There will be people that just stay there all day, camp out because they want to be front row. The screens are huge and there's a lot going on the stage. I imagine for the headliners, Olivia Rodrigo, 9 Inch Nails, Muse, Anima, they know how to put on a good show, and there's going to be a lot of stuff going on the screen and lights and a whole performance. So you will be able to see a lot even if you're not front and center. And as a short person, I actually prefer to be a little bit further back in the crowd because I can see more and I get a better perspective. Okay, I'm talking about these set times and when to arrive based on when your favorite artist is playing, but as of me recording this video, NOS Alive has not announced yet the set times. They have announced which artists are playing at which stages, but not the set times. And to get the most up-to-date set time information, download the NOS Alive app. So there is an app for your smartphone. It has the schedule. You can heart your favorite artist. You can get a map of the festival, answers to frequently asked questions, all the info you need, how to get there. Like if you're trying to look up different times for the extended services of the Flixbus and all of that stuff, it is in the app. And once you heart an artist and add them to your schedule, then you'll get push notifications of when that artist is starting to perform. So the app is so helpful. But I do encourage any festival goers to go a little bit early and experience other artists, even if you're only wanting to see the headliner, because almost every single musician that we saw last year exceeded our expectations. And that really does say a lot for us. So I do recommend going a little bit earlier than you maybe want to if you have that flexibility, just to explore other musicians. Which leads me into the next section, exploring the festival. This is a major music festival, not just a concert, which means there's so much to see in addition to the music throughout the entire festival grounds. One of the best things about attending a festival is being exposed to music and performers that you might not have otherwise been exposed to. It's a great way to see the most amount of musicians for just one ticket price. I know that for some people, this is their first music festival and they've maybe only attended concerts before or never even attended a concert before, and this is their first music event. So I want to tell you the best thing about festivals is being able to do all the different activities. Let's say, for example, your main quest is seeing some specific musicians, then you can do all these other side quests of visiting the different sponsor tents. And there are a lot of giveaways and free services. For example, at the Hyundai tent, they do free glitter makeup and it is so cool. They had free hair braiding station as well. There are so many different things to explore and do around the venue other than music. Even if music is, of course, your main thing, it is so cool to do the other events, and NOS Alive does it in a great way. A lot of the sponsors are located surrounding the main stage, so you can even hear the music, see the music, while waiting in line to do some of the fun activities that they have throughout the festival. The festival grounds are set up so that you could stay at the main stage area all day and have a great time. But then if you keep walking away from the main stage, you hit the WTF clubbing section. And I love this stage. You can get super close throughout the daytime sets, and some of the artists there just blew me away. I had no idea how good they were, and they also keep your energy up as you get tired throughout the day. Once you walk past there, there's the main food court area. It has a lot of different food and drink options, so you can get refills on your beer, your wine, your espresso, and eat a bunch of things. Within the food court area is where you'll access the photo cafe that has other sponsors and other little kind of events as well. Past the food court is the Heineken stage. The Heineken stage for us was where we spent the most time last year and has some amazing artists. It's in a tent, and this is the stage that is really hard to get to the front. So Balconage is like really, really big, and you can get a good view no matter kind of like when you show up. But the Heineken stage is smaller because it's enclosed in a tent, and the crowds get really dense in there. So if there's an artist that is your favorite and they're playing at the Heineken stage, that is an area that I recommend showing up at least for the artist prior to that one so that you can get a decent spot, because it is also harder to see the stage and the screen at the Heineken stage. Directly behind the Heineken stage, like you're facing away from the stage, are additional drink options. And if you keep walking past that, you get to even more food and drink options and some vendors that are doing some fun activities like the glitter tattoos. The main food court area does get pretty long lines, but the longest line of all is for espresso. And when I attended this festival, I realized the cultural difference between Portugal and other places where I've been to concerts. So like in the US, for example, the beer lines and wine lines are so long. Whereas in Portugal, the espresso line is the longest, and people were waiting over an hour just to get a bica. And so if you want to have a shorter espresso line, if you go past the Heineken stage, like I was talking about, to that lesser traveled food area, they do have espresso there that you can get, and typically has a shorter line. That's also where Palco Coreto is located, which is next to toilets. Again, usually a shorter line at the toilets there, but there are fewer of them. After you've experienced everything in this little Palco Coreto area, then you can go towards the comedy stage, and that is where the easiest water refill stations were last year. And the comedy stage is also air conditioned. So you can explore that area. They have some cool art and cool signs too, and it's a fun little less crowded area to visit, and leading you back to the main stage. A top tier festival in Portugal, and all of their sponsors are really good and have awesome stuff. And I accidentally ended up in a Casal Garcia commercial last year because I just happened to be wandering around exploring the festival grounds, and they started to film a commercial, and then I learned the jingle on the spot because I had never heard it before. So Aja Alegria, Aja Casal Garcia. Now I know, and I felt very much more Portuguese learning the song that everyone around me knew besides me. It is easier to explore the festival grounds earlier in the day because it gets so much more congested at night. I'm going to talk about how to navigate and avoid crowds, especially if you start to feel overwhelmed during the festival. So there are some places where you can kind of chill out and get away from the crowds. One of them is the comedy stage. And while a lot of people do go to the comedy stage, it's air conditioned, it's in a tent, so there's shade, and it's a great place to just kind of relax and get away from the shoulder to shoulder crowds. People are more calm there and kind of like either sitting down or just enjoying the comedian that's performing. The other area that is a nice little chill out area is the food and drink section past the Heineken stage, closer to Palco Goretu. There is a lot of space at the main stage. So if you're starting to feel like you don't want to be part of the crowds, but you want to hear the music, just hang back. We did this for Dua Lipa and for Pearl Jam. Both times we heard the music perfectly, we were dancing, it was a good vibe, everyone around us was having a good time, but we had lots of space to just dance and move around. We did not ever feel overwhelmed towards the back of the main stage area. If you are having something like an anxiety or a panic attack, there is a medical tent you can go to and they will help you out. They're very, very knowledgeable about these festival experiences, so go there. Most people leave right after the headliner. It feels like a little bit of a zombie walk of like, you know, like everyone's like tired and like somehow managing to get back home and everyone's crowded. It's a very slow, long walk out after the headliner. So if you want to avoid the crowds leaving, stay for the other music. Palco Heineken usually has musicians playing until late and WTF clubbing as well. So you can stay, wait for the majority of the crowds to disperse, and then head out. Or if you're not a huge fan of the headliner, if you leave within the first couple songs, you really won't face any crowds leaving. There was one time where we left a little bit early last year and people were still arriving. So leaving during the headliner is like really leaving early for this festival. I also always bring concert earplugs, and if I'm really close, it cuts out crowd noise, but I can still hear the music. So it feels like I'm not in as big of a crowd as I am when I have my concert earplugs in. All right, so with the concert earplugs, that leads me to what to bring to the festival to make sure you have a great time and are super prepared. There are charging stations within the festival, but instead I would bring your own personal battery bank so that you can keep your phone charged throughout this 12 hours of music. I also recommend bringing hand sanitizer, like a little travel one, because there's a lot of stuff that you might be touching or whatever, and sometimes you don't want to have to go all the way back to the toilet area to wash your hands, and like let's say you touch something sticky, just use some hand sanitizer and you're good to go. Concert earplugs are the #1 thing I recommend. I have been to like over 1,000 concerts and I have no hearing loss because I wear these to every single show. My favorite is the Loop Experience Plus 2. They have enough decibel rating to protect your ears even in the loudest of concerts. And with some of these headliners, like Justice and Anima, I know it's going to be super, super loud. And these earplugs cut the crowd noise, you can feel the bass, you can be close, and you hear the musician perfectly. If you're going during the day, make sure to bring sunscreen. It is very sunny. If you're not used to Portugal, the sun here is really strong. So even if it's not hot, the sun is just like beating on you, and we're right on the coast, and definitely bring some sunscreen. A hand fan is one of the things we did not bring last year, and we will absolutely be bringing this year. The weather is supposed to be perfect, but when you're in the crowd, like in the tents, in the Heineken stage, or deep in the main stage crowds, it gets hot because you're with other people. The bodies are all heating it up, and having a hand fan in between will help keep you cool and chill and just have a more enjoyable concert experience. I actually have a video, and I'll put it in the description, about what I keep in my concert bag. Speaking of bags, you can't bring large backpacks or suitcases, but you can bring small, like everyday backpacks with you, which is really helpful to keep all your little festival items in. I also recommend having a phone leash of some kind because phone theft is more common in festival settings. It's not like so common in Portugal or anything, but just any festival, any concert where it's congested, it can be an issue. So making sure that you have a phone leash with you will just give you peace of mind when you're there. But go check out my other video. It's just a short, super quick, or my Lisbon concert tips video, and I talk about everything that I like to bring to a concert, just to give you a list of what to get started with. NOS Alive app and website has a whole list of what you can't bring, so go check that out. The good news is if you accidentally bring something you're not allowed to bring into the festival ground, they do have a a cloakroom where you can check all your items in. It's €1 per item. So let's say you brought an umbrella to protect yourself from the sun while waiting in line to enter the festival. You can actually check that for €1 into the cloakroom. Those are my main tips for the festival that every single person should know before going, and it'll help you have a good time. Now I'm gonna get into the frequently asked questions that you left me. So these are questions that people asked me throughout the last weeks, and I wanna make sure you have the answers. Can you bring food into the festival? The festival website specifically says you cannot bring food in containers, and it does not say whether or not you can bring any food in. According to festival goers last year, they were able to bring in snacks like energy bars and small packaged foods. There was also Doritos was a sponsor last year, and they were handing out snacks during the festival entrance line. So they let everyone in that had a Doritos bag in, so you could bring those kinds of food into the festival. I just think it's specifically saying you can't bring in like a whole meal to go in a to-go container or something like that, or like several meals in a box, like an ice chest. You can't bring that in. So you can try bringing it in. I recommend keeping it to small snacks. Is the festival safe for kids? NOS Alive limits the age of people who can attend the festival at 6 years old or older. So you can't bring little kids in, but you can bring kids in. In general, people at Portuguese festivals are very respectful and kind and welcoming, and Portuguese culture in general is like you can bring your whole family everywhere you go. So I don't see why it wouldn't be safe to bring a child. If you do bring a young kid, I recommend being on the outskirts, so like staying towards the back of the crowds, just for safety purposes because they're so small. And I also highly encourage you to have proper ear protection. I've been to over 1,000 concerts. I don't have any hearing loss. And on the flip side, my husband Mike, he grew up in the music scene. His uncle's a touring musician. He attended a lot of shows at a young age without any hearing protection, and he does have tinnitus and hearing loss. So I just, as someone who is married to a person who experienced too loud of concerts too young without protection, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to make sure that your child has hearing protection. And that goes for everyone, adults too, but especially a child, because they don't know any better. You have to be the example. So if you have hearing protection and you stay in the backs of crowds during the busier sets, I think it's very safe for a kid, and I think they'd have a ton of fun doing all the different activities that are at this festival. How can you get a resale ticket? So NOS Alive has specifically said on their website that it's not tied to a person's name, meaning you can buy a resale ticket. However, I have seen this huge trend, especially for this festival, especially for night one since it's sold out. And I think also because Olivia Rodrigo fans tend to be a little bit younger, there are a lot of scammers on TikTok and Instagram trying to sell tickets. I don't recommend this at all, especially for a festival with a higher ticket price. Instead, go to a more reputable third-party ticket reseller that guarantees your money back if you get a fake ticket. I have a blog about how to avoid scammers that are selling tickets and some of our favorite resale websites that we use. I'm gonna put that in the description. Go check it out before you buy a resale ticket just to make sure you protect yourself. Where should you stay for the festival? Most people probably have their accommodations sorted by now because it's a week to the festival, but I decided that we should go a day early on the 9th, and I just booked my hotel yesterday for that. I know it's very possible that you don't have accommodations sorted yet. I talk about this in a lot of detail in my Lisbon concert tips series, so go check that out for the logistics. I talk about my favorite places to stay within the city and also how and why I recommend staying west of the festival if you're coming for NOS Alive. Where are the entrances? There is only one entrance at this festival. What happens is everyone goes to the same main entrance, and then you split up into different lines by ticket type. The digital ticket that you get, or if you print it out, you scan that, and then if you have a 3-day ticket, you actually go into a separate line to get your 3-day wristband. Then from there on, you will scan your wristband. I just want to say that I forgot my wristband on day 2, and I had to go all the way back to our hotel, which was like 40-minute train and back. So make sure that if you have the 3-day wristband, you don't lose it or forget about it, okay? Because once it's gone, it's gone. But if you're press or you have limited mobility or you need special accommodations, then that's a separate line. And if you are handicapped or you need a special accommodations, reach out ahead of time. They have website information on where you can do that. to make sure that you actually are given the accommodations you need. There is only one entrance, but it's really cool. It's like a live band was playing above us as we entered the festival, which was the first time I've ever seen something like that. Really, really cool. Overall, NOS Alive is an awesome festival. It is my favorite of the year. It's easy to navigate, tons of signs, lots of color, happy people, good food, good vibes, amazing musicians, and I just am so excited for this year's edition because we feel even more confident going to it. And there are lots of artists that I'm really excited to see. Some that I've just learned about because of the festival, others that I've wanted to see live for years and didn't have the opportunity until now. So this is going to be 3 days of just awesome, good vibes. I hope this video helped you feel more prepared and excited for the festival, relieving some of those anxieties so you can have all the fun. Thank you for watching, and if you want more concert tips and international travel and stuff like that, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We are going to continue posting stories and stuff like that throughout the festival experience, so go and check us out on our other channels, Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that, and you can see in the moment up-to-date information. That is also where I post things that have changed. Like if I said something in this video and I was wrong, I will post my stories to correct myself. If you have any other questions, make sure to drop them in the comments. I reach out to the tour organizers usually, and I do clarify and confirm information if it's a little bit confusing. Thank you so much for watching. We can't wait to see you there, and I hope you have an amazing time. Ciao!
All right, we just wrapped day 3. How do you feel, Tay?
Still cansada.
All right, I think that means she's tired.